Hey guys, it's Dwayne Huff, founder and CEO of Influence Seminars, creator of Business Success Partners. And in this video, I want to talk about how you can improve the performance and culture of your company and your employees without the headache, heartache, and stress of making a major culture change. Whether that's a sales team that you're managing, a small business, a medium-sized business, or a large corporation, how to really improve upon the culture and the performance of the people and the company as a whole without all of the headache. But before I jump in there, if there's anything I can do to assist and serve you in training and developing your employees or increasing the growth value and profitability of your company, run over to influenceseminars.com. I'll be glad to serve. But let me jump in here. And for those of you who aren't familiar with my work, small business, medium, large-sized companies come to me and ask me, Dwayne, what's the thing that we can do to make our employees more effective, to make the team work better together, to improve the operations of our business, and really take our company to where we want it to go and grow? And one thing I say is that in every company I've ever been a part of and that I've ever worked with in the past 10 years of training, developing, and coaching and consulting with companies, I believe that the common theme that I see in every single company is that they struggle with two main barriers. Number one, and you could probably guess these if you've been in business for any amount of time. Number one is communication, especially the bigger they get. But even small companies struggle with this. Number one, communication. Number two, leadership. But those two impact and set the tone for everything. So how, Dwayne, they asked me, do we rectify this? How do we improve upon this? How do we make this better for our company and our employees? And the answer is never easy to give because it's basic and it's simple and nobody wants to hear it, but it's the absolute truth, because every sales manager, every CEO, every middle manager, every leader in the organization that ever applies this and takes this to heart and sets the example sees an effective change. So number one, and this is what I tell them, number one, you have to get a grip and a handle on the communication. A very simple way to do that without me launching into this major teach, because I'm not going to do that to you here in this video, but I'll point you in a resource. It's absolutely amazing. Run over and do a Google search, a YouTube search, and you can find many different examples of this. But one of the most effective communication tools and teaches that I've ever seen is something known as the Johari window, Johari. And it really gives a visual representation of what good communication needs to look like visually. And if you understand it and you can teach it to your people and show it to your people, immediately you put everybody on the same page. So everybody has a mental representation, a visual representation of what good communication looks like, where it should be, where it should avoid. And you can start to build on that foundation based on that Johari window. And stay in the open window of communication. You'll see whenever you do that. So number one is that. Get everybody on the same page with the same common understanding and visual of what good communication can and should look like. Number two to that communication equation is you, as the leader, have to be the one that sets the example and the tone consistently. And that's not always easy, right? Because as an upper manager, as a CEO, as an executive, there's certain things that you can't necessarily share, tell, explain to your people. But I would invite you to challenge yourself that is not as big of a chunk of the information as you may think it is. In other words, imagine for a second you have a pie diagram here and you took a little sliver out of it and you said to yourself, that's the information I can share with my people. I would invite you to push that, because I believe the things that you can share with your people that they may want to know and value is a lot bigger than that. And whenever you share from that place and you give and you offer and you explain, you lower walls, you build trust, and you invite them by example to do the same thing. So right there, getting on the same page with communication and the same model, and then being willing to set the tone, set the example, and demonstrate daily and consistently what good communication looks like, what transparent communication looks like, what complete transparency looks like, will do wonders in a very short period of time for the value and the quality of communication in your entire organization. So that's number one. Number two, leadership. One of my favorite mentors and one of my favorite leadership minds is Dr. John Maxwell. I just happen to be a certified speaker, trainer, and coach with the John Maxwell team, and that was one of my certifications. And I had the opportunity to spend time with him. He's an absolute legend. If you're not familiar with him, look him up. He's awesome. He's known for saying leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And that fascinated me. That's why I named my entire company Influence Seminars, because we had a conversation, he and I. When I went to certification, I had 5 minutes with the legend. And he says, what would you like to know? I said, that statement fascinates me, but I need more. In that context, what is influence? Oh, I'm sorry. Before I forget, guys, if you'd like more help with doing this for your people and with your people, run over to influenceseminars.com. A lot of resources there, and I can help you out further. But he said, Dwayne, influence is when we add value to the lives of people. But the trick is we can't add value to the lives of people until we first understand what it is they already value. And I wasn't pulling any punches. I said, Dr. Maxwell, actually, he likes you to call him John. I said, that sounds like double speak. He says, hear me out. He says, have you ever tried to do anything for somebody, give something to somebody, offer something to somebody, create something for somebody, create a position for somebody, only to have them not appreciate it, not accept it, not want it, push back, or not receive it? I said, yeah. He said, how'd that make you feel? I said, pretty lousy. He said, what were you in fact doing in that moment? He said, you were giving them something that you knew or believed they should value, and maybe they would have if they would have understood it from your perspective, but what you weren't giving them, doing for them, or offering was something that they valued. And he said, in order to be an effective leader, what you have to do is leave the place that you're comfortable with. If you're an executive, if you're in upper management, or if you're in a leadership position, you have to kind of humble yourself, step away from your ivory tower, if you will. And I know none of you live in an ivory tower, but that's not what I'm saying. But you have to leave your comfort zone, your space of comfort, and go hang out with your people, with your employees. And I would invite you, that would be a social situation versus a work situation, though you can combine the two. And very patiently over time, dialogue, have conversations, listen to them, ask them questions with no agenda, no hidden motive, but pay attention to where they spend their time, where they spend their money, where they spend their effort, what they complain about, what they gripe about, what they love, what they want, what they need, what they expect. And if you listen long enough, patiently enough, you're going to start to understand as individuals, as a team, what they need, what they want, what they expect, what they value. And then Dr. Maxwell said, if you can take those things and help them get them, or give them more of them, you influence them, and therefore you lead them, which takes on a servant leader's heart. And unfortunately, in corporate America, even in medium and small sized companies, that's not always the MO. You know, leaders want to be in charge. They want to be authoritarians. They want to tell you what to do. Well, we live in a day and age where if you're constantly telling your people what to do, and that's all you're doing, you lose good people. People never leave. Well, not never. For all you analyticals out there, people seldomly leave companies for the company. They often leave for the managers. And we've seen that time and time again. So to be an effective leader, I have to realize when I show up that if I'm a CEO, I'm there to serve the frontline employee, my managers. And the more, and my day as a CEO is to show up and serve my frontline employees to make sure they have everything they need to be successful. And if I haven't, I've failed. And if you're a CEO watching this and you believe otherwise, I challenge you that your company is not as strong as it can be. If you're a middle manager and you're thinking, well, my employees are going to do what I tell them, and if they don't, then they're going to be in trouble. You're a manager. You're not a leader, right? And it's a tough conversation. I get it. But if you want the performance and the overall culture of your company to improve, that's what I tell the leaders I work with. First, you got to get the communication right. The Joe Hari window is a great model to do that. And secondly, you've got to become that servant leader no longer is authoritarian leadership going to fly. People are privy to that, and they can go elsewhere, especially in an economy like we got right now. They're not worried about your job, so you got to take care of them and treat them right. I remember this being exemplified for me by one of my managers, my favorite manager. I remember I was doing a good job and working for her. I was in the pharmaceutical industry, and we got to my first performance review, and she's like, "Dwayne, you did a great job this year, man. I gave you AE, achieves expectations, but how can we get you to EE next year?" And I said, no, I'm working hard. I'm doing everything I know how to do. I've given everything you've asked for. Immediately, she realized that she needed to step back, put her agenda aside, and understand what it is I wanted, whether it served her objectives, or her direction or not. She realized that I had certain goals in the company professionally that I was never going to be able to achieve in that specific company, but she wanted to influence and add value to me so that I could be successful while I was in that role and be happy. She sat down, she pushed aside her laptop and her books, and she said, and let me preface it by saying I had a great relationship with this manager, trusted her with my life. She shielded us from all the junk that flows downhill in the company and was always fighting really hard. So at that point in the year, I had all the trust in the world. And so I told her, I said, all I've ever wanted to do was be a professional speaker, trainer, and coach. She says, really? I said, yeah. She said, and in a moment, knowing how to influence me as an individual on her team, she said, here's what I'll do for you. I'm going to step it up this year, and if you will step it up with me, do everything I tell you, do everything I ask, here's what I'm going to do in return. I'm going to open every door I can to give you the opportunity here in this company and elsewhere to practice your craft, to get up in front of people and speak and give you stage time and hone your craft. All I ask you in return is that you do exactly what I ask you so we can build this team strong. I said, really? She said, yeah. I said, deal. I started cranking out like you would not believe, and she started opening doors. Before I knew it, I was in front of her district. Did a good job. The regional manager caught wind of it, got to go speak to the district. Before I knew it, I'm in the national stage, traveling the country, speaking. It's been 10 years now, and training. And nothing gives me greater fulfillment than working with companies' employees and working with them for 1, 2, a week at a time, deep diving and transitioning and seeing them change. And the foundation of what we talk about is communication and leadership. And before I forget, if I can be of service to you in that capacity, run over to influenceseminars.com and reach out to me, and perhaps we can work together. But that's it. I just want to serve you. So if this add value to you, share it with somebody, tag somebody, drop a comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with it, let's start a dialogue. I'd love to hear your best practices. I'm sure your professional colleagues and those of you who are connected with here on LinkedIn or wherever it is that you're watching this would love to hear your wisdom as well. So until we talk again, remember, changing the performance and the culture of your company doesn't have to be this big headache and heartache. It's simple, not easy, but if you'll focus on improving the communication, giving a common visual like the Johari window that everybody can be a part of, and then emulating that and setting the example in that consistently, showing them how, not just telling them how, and then be the leader that you always wanted to have, that you look up to and that you know they need. The sky's the limit for what you can do in a very short period of time. And if that can be of assistance, run over to influenceseminars.com. Let me know and we can talk. Otherwise, I look forward to talking to you again. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and I'll keep answering questions and putting these out to serve you and help you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.